Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. So now online lecture for chapter 7 electronic commerce payment system. So there are several learning objectives here. Okay, understand the shift that are occurring with regard to online payments, discuss the players and processes involved in using credit cards online, discuss the different categories and potential users of smart cards, discuss stored value cards and identify under what circumstances they are best used, describe the situation where e-micropayments are used and the alternative ways for handling this situation, and lastly describe the process and parties involved in e-checking. So the payment revolution. So cash and checks nowadays are no longer kings, okay? Because debit and credit cards now rule both online and offline. So usually customer will use its debit and credit cards. This means that online B2C business need to support debit and credit card purchase, okay? So payment cards. Electronic card that contains information that can be used for payment purpose. So the processing of online card payment is essentially the same as it is for brick and mortar stores, and it involves essentially the same players and the same system, whether they use a credit card, charge card or debit cards. So the players involved like banks, card association, payment processing services and so on. So this is one of the reasons why payment cards predominate in the online world. So the major difference is that the rate of fraudulent orders is much higher online. Okay, so some consumers have turned to virtual or single-use credit cards to avoid using their actual credit card numbers online. Okay, because they are vulnerable. Okay, so using online payment, actually you have exposed yourself to the fraudulent activities. So just go forward to the method that can be used in the online payment. The first one is smart card. So smart cards looks like credit cards, but it contain embedded chips for manipulating data and have a large memory capacity. So like the your like mine, the staff card, maybe student cards also can consider as a smart card, I don't know. Okay, so these cards contain microprocessor chips, can be programmed to handle a wide variety of tasks. So other cards have memory chips to which data can be written and from which data can be read. So most memory cards are disposable, but others, smart card, can hold large amount of data and are rechargeable. Okay, so smart card have been and will be used for a number of purposes. For example, like contactless retail payment, paying for mass transit services, to identify the card holder for government service, okay, like the punch in punch out like myself, and then securing physical and network access, storing healthcare data and verifying eligibility for healthcare and other government services. So they use a lot of smart card. So given the sensitive nature of much of the data on smart cards, public key encryption and other cryptographic techniques are used to secure their contents. Okay, so we have looked in chapter 6 the public key infrastructure, meaning that when you use the card, the public key infrastructure is involved. When you use the card, it will translate the plain text into the cipher text, and then once the related key player want to read the smart card, it will decipher it back to get the plain text. Okay, so this is the example of smart card. Okay, Visa card. So there are several types of smart cards actually. Contact card, contactless card, smart card reader, smart card operating system. Okay, and the application of smart cards used to retail purchase or for the transit fares. Okay, and then the next one is stored value cards. So stored value cards is similar in appearance to a credit or debit card. So the monetary value of a stored value card is housed in a magnetic strip on the back of the card. Okay? So closed loop stored value sorry, this one because it have two types. Closed loop stored value are issued for a single purpose by a specific merchant. For example, like Starbucks gift card. In contrast, open loop stored value cards are more like standard credit or debit card and can be used for multiple purposes. For example, payroll card. So those segments of the population without credit card or bank account, for example, like people with low income, young adults, senior and minorities, are spurring the substantial growth of the stored value cards. They use this type of card. Okay. And the next one is e-micropayments. So e-micropayments is small online payments, typically under $10. Okay. So when an item or service being sold online and the cost less than $5, for example, credit cards are too costly for sellers. So a number of other e-payment systems have been introduced to handle this micropayment situation. So for the most part, they have failed, but that's the evidence indicates that consumers are interested in using their credit and debit cards for small value online purchase. For example, you want to buy songs on iTunes, online games, ringtone sales. So in response, a number of newer micropayment models such as aggregated purchase have been developed to reduce the fees associated with credit and debit cards. Okay, so these are the types of it: aggregation, direct payment, stored value, subscription, a la carte. So you can read it by yourself in the books. Okay, so for this course, the most important things, you know what are the types of payment that you can use through the e-commerce. Okay, just now I tell you the smart card and then stored value card, and now e-micro payments. Okay, we move to the next one, e-check. Okay, this is the last one, e-check. So e-check, a legally valid electronic version or representation of a paper check. So e-check are the electronic equivalent of paper check. They are handled in much the same way as paper check and rely quite heavily on the automated clearinghouse network. Okay, so a nationwide batch-oriented electronic fund transfer system that provide for the interbank clearing of electronic payment for participating financial institution. So e-check offer a number of benefits, okay, including speedier processing. Okay, you need to remember this. So what are the benefits of e-check? It provides speedier processing. It can reduce administrative costs. It is more efficient deposit. It reduces float period and also fewer bounce checks. If you use the paper checks, usually we will have many bounce checks. But for this e-check use, have fewer bounce checks. So these factors have resulted in the rapid growth of e-check usage. So the rapid growth is also being spurred by the use of e-check for in-store purchase. Okay. So there are systems that enable retailers to convert the paper checks used for in-store purchase to the e-check without the need to process the check using traditional procedures nowadays. Okay, so that's all for this chapter. Okay, please read the details in your textbook. Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to all of you. So this is the chapter 6 for BGIB 3143 according to the syllabus on topic e-commerce security and fraud protection. So there are several learning objectives that we need to look at for this chapter. First of all, to understand the importance and scope of security of information system for e-commerce. And then we will describe the major concept and terminology of e-commerce security. Learn about the major e-commerce security threats, vulnerabilities and technical attacks. And then understand internet fraud, phishing and spam. Describe the information assurance security principles. Identify and assess major technology and method for securing e-commerce access and communication. Describe the major technology for protection of e-commerce network. And then describe various types of control and special defense mechanism. Describe consumer and seller protection from fraud. And lastly, describe the role of business continuity and disaster recovery planning. So, what is information security? Information security is about protecting information and information system from unauthorized access, use, disclosure, disruption, modification, perusal, inspection, recording or destruction. So this is the information security, because e-commerce, in our e-commerce system, there's a lot of information that we need to protect. So that's why the security of the information is very important. So what is e-commerce security? So when the computer security itself refers to the protection of data, network, computer programs, computer power, or other elements of computerized information system that we have learned before this. Okay. So the attack and defense of computers can affect not only individual but also the organizations that involved in the e-commerce. So computer security aims to prevent or at least to minimize the attacks. Okay, because we cannot prevent it 100%, but at least we can minimize the attack. Okay, so this one you can read by yourself. The information security problem, it involves personal security, national security, the security risk for 2011 to 2012. You can read it in the books. The cyber war, cyber espionage, cyber crimes across borders, meaning that between country. Okay, not only about the individual system, but it involves more than that. Okay, sometimes border of the country. And types of attack could be corporate espionage that plug business around the world. You know, when you digitize your business, and then of course you make your business, you know, vulnerable because it is open to everyone in the world. And then because of the politics, some of the organization might have some some effect because of the politic reason. Okay, so they want to go into your system to gain the information so that they can use the information for the political reason. So these are major e-commerce security management concern for 2012 in descending order of importance. Okay, in descending order, meaning that the most biggest concern is about the fraud in e-commerce transaction, the transaction itself. Okay, and followed by prevention and detection of malware, malicious software. Okay, that include virus, worm, trojan. And then security strategy and sufficient budget, business continuity, handle interruption, recovery, meaning that when the disaster or the security problem occur, then how the business want to survive or to continue with the attack that they need to handle with. And then data protection, privacy protection, employees negligence and waste of time, the commitment of the employees also. Okay, And then intrusion detection and prevention, and the last one is about data leaks. So actually the drivers of e-commerce security problems because of the internet's vulnerable design, the design of the internet itself. Okay, so internet need domain name system. So the domain name system which translate the domain name to their numeric IP address, and also IP address, an address that uniquely identifies each computer connected to a network or the internet, can make the e-commerce system vulnerable to the internet, because the hackers or crackers can attack this domain name system and also the IP address. Okay, and then the shift to profit-induced crimes. Okay, profit-induced crimes. So usually they try to get this because they want to get the valuable data or information from your organization, because they want to make profit from this information or data. Okay, for example, you know, they try to tap the information of the customer through the system, and then the information of the customer they can use to promote their product, for example. Okay. And then internet underground economy, e-markets for stolen information made up of thousands of websites that sell credit card numbers, social security numbers, other data such as number of bank accounts, social network IDs, password, and much more. So actually they can use the keystroke logging to get your password, and then when they get the password, they can log into your system and can easily get all the information that you provide to the system. Okay, and then they can sell, you know, they can sell the information. They also can get money. Not only the outsider try to penetrate the system, but the insider also can gain access to the customer personal information and sell the data. They also can make money. So why is an e-commerce security strategy needed? Why? Because as you can see in the statistic provided before this, it's because of the fraud of the transaction. So we need to minimize the risk for the user to use the e-commerce. So some technologies, some defense mechanism need to be used with the e-commerce system, so that we can protect the e-commerce system. So in other words, we can promise some security to our customer to use with the system. So these are some basic security terminology. Business continuity plan. This is a plan that keeps the business running after a disaster occurs. So each function in the business should have a valid recovery capability plan. For example, as we have learned before this, you know, at least the major function of the business, they will have the accounting, they will have the human resource department, okay, the financing, the operation management. So this major business function need to have the business continuity plan. When the disaster happen, what will they do with the information that they have? For example, they need to have backup for their data. And then cybercrime. What is cybercrime? Cybercrime is referring to intentional crimes carried out on the internet, meaning that they have intention. Okay, the hackers have intention, you know. This is not an intention. Intentionally, they want to make these crimes to through the internet. The next one is cybercriminal. Cybercriminal is referring to a person who intentionally carries out crimes over the internet. In other words, the cybercriminal will do the cybercrime. And then what is exposure? Exposure is the estimated cost, loss or damage that can result if a threat exploits a vulnerability. Fraud. What is fraud? Any business activity that use deceitful practices or devices to deprive another of property or other rights. Fraud, okay, tipu. Malware, malicious software, a generic term for malicious software. So we use it as malware in short. but it is actually the shortened form from malicious software. And then phishing. What is phishing? A crimeware technique to steal the identity of a target company to get the identities of its customers. This is phishing. So software technique used by the criminal people to steal the identity of target company to get identity of its customer. This one we call it as phishing. Risk, the probability that a vulnerability will be known and used. And then social engineering, a type of non-technical attack that use some rule to trick users into revealing information or performing an action that compromise a computer or network. And then spam, I think we familiar with this spam, our email flooded with spam. So spam is the electronic equivalent of junk mail. And then vulnerability. Vulnerability term also most frequently used when we are talking about the security in computer. Vulnerability is the weakness in software or other mechanism that threatens the confidentiality, integrity, or availability of an asset. Okay, so this is the vulnerability, the weakness in the software. And then zombies. What is zombies? Okay, zombies here in computer security means the computers infected with malware that are under the control of a spammer, hacker, or other criminal. So this one is called as zombies. Okay, so this is the e-commerce security battleground. So these are the attackers method. Some of the attack is intentionally done, unintentionally done, natural disaster, malfunction, or human errors. So the target of all these attacks are to target the computer or information system through the hardware, software, procedure, email, equipment, and network. Or sometimes they want to target the people actually. Okay, so they try to destroy all this computer system in order to destroy the people. And what are the defense that can be used by the hardware, software, procedures, email, equipment, network, or people? They can use several methods to protect the target of the target or the vulnerability of the target. Usually they can use the technical defense and non-technical defense, so we will look after this. Okay, so before we proceed, you need to differentiate between hacker and cracker. Hacker is someone who gains unauthorized access to a computer system, and cracker is a malicious hacker such as Maxwell in the opening case if you read the books E-commerce 2012, who may represent a serious problem for a corporation. So in other words, cracker is more dangerous compared to hacker, okay? Because they have bad intention from the very beginning. Okay, so these are the e-commerce security requirements. Okay, so when we are dealing with the e-commerce, we need to have some security requirements like authentication, process to verify the real identity of an individual computer program, or e-commerce website, and then authorization, process of determining what the authenticated entity is allowed to access and what operation it is allowed to perform, and then in terms of auditing the data, availability of the data, and non-repudiation, assuring that online customers or trading partners cannot falsely deny their purchase or transaction. So you need to you need to make sure that the customer is seriously with the transaction that they want to proceed. So these are the defender strategy and methods, okay, you can read it by yourself. Okay, now this one is important, technical attack methods. Okay, as I mentioned before, there are two types of strategy. The technical attack, two types of defense, the technical and non-technical. So the same thing with the technical attack methods. Okay, with the attack methods, we have two technical attack methods and non-technical attack methods. Okay, technical attack methods from viruses to denial of service. So in these technical attack methods, we call it as technical attack methods where it involves malicious code, malicious software, virus, worms, and Trojan horse. So what is virus? A piece of software code that inserts itself into a host, including the operating system. In order to propagate, it requires that its host program be run to activate it. And then what is worm? A software program that runs independently. So like virus, it depends to another entity to spread. But for worm, it can run independently, consuming the resources of its host in order to maintain itself, then is capable of propagating a complete working version of itself onto another machine. So you can read by yourself how a computer virus can spread, because I believe that, at least, if not all of you, maybe 50% of us already have experienced how the computer virus can affect our computer. So you can read the figure. It works just as biological virus destructs living cell to cause disease. This one is called as a computer virus. And then next, macrovirus, or also known as macroworm. So macrovirus or macroworm is executed when the application object that contains the macro is open or a particular procedure is executed. Like when you open the Excel file, there's a macro file there. Once you open, so actually you will activate the macrovirus. And then Trojan horse, a program that appears to have a useful function but that contains a hidden function that presents a security risk. It looks like, for example, asks you once again to give or to input your password. Actually, it try to get, for the second time, it try to get your password and keep with the system. And then banking Trojan, a Trojan that comes to life when computer owners visit one of a number of online banking or e-commerce sites. Okay, so this one we call it as banking Trojan. Computer owner visit one of a number of online banking. This one is banking Trojan. Denial of service attack, an attack on a website in which an attacker used specialized software to send a flood of data packet to the target computer with the aim of overloading its resources. So the server will down, for example. Okay, denial of service attack. And then page hijacking. So this is very important. Page hijack. How to hijack page, not only to hijack the aeroplane. Creating a raw copy of popular website that shows content similar to the original to a web crawler. Once there, an unsuspecting user is redirected to malicious websites. So you visit not the original one, but you are redirected to another malicious website, and you provide everything in the malicious website, and everything, all the information is kept with them. Okay, so this is how they want to hijack the website. Okay, you need to read more details on book regarding the hijacking, how to hijack the server and so on. Botnet, a huge number of hijacked internet computers that have been set up to forward traffic, including spam and virus, to other computers on the internet. So when this thing happens, it is called as botnet. A huge number of hijacked internet computer. They hijack the internet computer. Okay, so that it can forward the traffic, including spam and virus. Okay, this one is social engineering, from phishing to financial fraud and crime. So we will look into this. None, and it is under non-technical methods. Okay, so we finished the technical methods. Now the non-technical methods, from phishing to spam, social phishing. So the non-technical methods, this one. So a large variety of internet crime exists actually. So some, we can identify the theft and misuse, for example, the stock market fraud, and then the scam and phishing. So phishing is actually what? I already give you the definition just now. It is an attempt to get valuable information from people by masquerading as a trustworthy entity. So you pretend to be a trustworthy entity. This one is the phishing. So personal information is extracted from people, the stolen one, and sold to criminals who use it to commit financial crimes, such as transferring money to illegal accounts, for example. Okay? And then so a related area is the use of unsolicited advertising or sales via spam also can be under the phishing. How phishing is accomplished, you can read by yourself. The cyber bank robberies, this is another financial fraud. Okay, you don't have to rob the bank physically, but you can rob the banks in cyber world. And then spam and spyware attack, email spam, a subset of spam that involve nearly identical message sent to numerous recipients by email. And then the typical example of spamming, like spyware, software that gathers user information over an internet connection without the user's knowledge. So for example, e-commerce company itself can install the spyware, okay, so can spy the customer activity. And then social networking makes social engineering easy. So actually, by using the social networking software, for example like Facebook, it makes the hackers work easy. How can you publish everything in the social network, and then you share everything in the social network, and you make yourself vulnerable to the hackers. So what is search engine spam? Page created deliberately to trick the search engine into offering inappropriate, redundant or poor quality search result. Search engine also, the hackers can spam. And then spam site, page that use technique that deliberately subvert a search engine algorithm to artificially inflate the page ranking. This one is the spam site, if you can still remember how the Google search engine, provide the result to the query that asking by the customer, they use the page ranking. So this spam site is relating to the page ranking technique. And then Splunk. Splunk is short for spam blog, a site created solely for marketing purpose. They want to make this blog, but this one is for the marketing purpose, not for the personal purpose. And then data breach, a security incident in which sensitive, protected or confidential data is copied, transmitted, viewed, stolen or used by an individual unauthorized to do so. So this is called as data breach. Okay, finish the technical attack methods and the non-technical attack methods. Please differentiate these two. Okay, now we are in the information assurance model and defense strategy. So for these parts, we only focus on defense 1 and defense 2. So the defense 1, access control, encryption, and the PKI. What is PKI? PKI is the public key infrastructure. Okay, so in e-commerce, issues of communication among trading partners are paramount. E-commerce partners do not know, in many cases, their counterparts, so they need secured communication and trust building. So between the trading partner, or also not only between the customer, but also between the business and business. So trust starts with the authentication of the parties involved in a transaction, that is identifying the parties in a transaction along with the action that they can perform. Okay, so access control mechanism that determines who can legitimately use a network resource. So under the authentication, authorization and authentication, so authentication can be established with something one knows, for example like password, or something one has like a token, or something one possess like a fingerprint, the iris, and then the biometric system can confirm biometric system can confirm the person's identity. For example, like fingerprint scanner, iris scanner, facial recognition, voice recognition. So all these are example of biometric system. And then encryption and the one key or symmetric system. So a special encryption system for e-commerce is the PKI, the public key infrastructure. So public key infrastructure, which is the cornerstone of secure e-payments and communication, also can authenticate the parties in a transaction. Just now we are talking about the authentication, about the password. Okay, now it is about, for example, like during the payment, to secure the e-payment. So PKI use several methods of encryption, like private and also the public one. Its purpose is to ensure privacy and integrity and digital signature, to ensure authenticity and non-repudiation of the payment. So digital signature are themselves authenticated through a system of digital certificate issued by the certificate authorities. Okay, so in this encryption and the one key symmetric key system, the term that you need to know are these three. Encryption is the process of scrambling, encrypting a message into such a way that it is difficult, expensive, or time-consuming for an unauthorized person or to unscramble or to decrypt it. Okay. For example, it is like a secret code lah. When you want to message, for example, I want to message Ogong. Okay. There's a some secret to tell Ogong. So maybe I pass this message to Shikin, but in this message, for the security reason, I encrypt it, make it in secret code. Okay, I convert every letter A to 1, for example. So when the message, when Ogong get my message, Ogong know what the secret code that I use, then he can decrypt back the message. That one is the encryption. It is about encryption from the sender and decrypt from the receiver. And plain text is unencrypted message in human readable form. So once before I encrypt the message, it is called as plain text. After plain text message is being encrypted, it is called as a ciphertext. Okay. So there's a lot of encryption algorithm can be used. So the formula lah, how to convert. Just now I am telling you about, A is referring to number 1, okay? But actually it is, by using computer, it can automatically generate by the computer by using the encryption algorithm, okay? Key, secret codes, okay? So this one I already explained to you. Plain text, ciphertext, okay, from the plain text encrypt become the ciphertext, and then ciphertext go to the receiver. So the serial receiver will decrypt it and it will become a plain text message back. Okay. So these are the public key, private key. Okay, the digital signature I already explained to you, spontaneously just now. Okay. Okay, the defense tool. Okay, please. Securing e-commerce networks. So the defense tool, you need to secure the e-commerce network itself by using several technology. The first one is firewall. Firewall is a single point between two or more networks where all traffic must pass. The device authenticates, control and locks all traffics. I hope you can still remember the video that I have shown you before this, the firewall that installed, before all the data packet go out from your company or comes into the other company. There will be a firewall use, okay, and it involved with the packet, okay. So personal firewall also can be installed. A network node designed to protect an individual user's desktop system from the public network by monitoring all the traffic that passes through the computer's network interface card. So it is not only about the you can install it also in your personal computer, okay? But this firewall cannot detect all the virus. That's why you need some additional virus software to detect other malware that comes into the network, okay? And then the first one just now is about firewall. Now the next one is virtual private network, the VPN technology. A network that uses the public internet to carry information but remain private by using encryption to scramble the communication, authentication to ensure that information has not been tampered with, and access control to verify the identity of anyone using the network. So use the protocol tunneling method used to ensure the confidentiality and integrity of data transmitted over the internet by encrypting data packet, sending them into packet across the internet and decrypting them at the destination address. Okay, can you still remember the public key infrastructure? It is about encryption. So the same concept is applied to here, meaning that in the network, they try to encrypt the packet now. Okay, the VPN, it encrypt the packet by using the secret code and then pass through the network. Once the receiver receives the packet, it will decrypt back the data packet to get what the content of the packet. Okay. The last technology is about intrusion detection system. Intrusion detection system is a special category of software that can monitor activity across a network or on a host computer, watch for suspicious activity, and take automated action based on what it sees. It can deal with denial of service attack. Okay, because denial of service attack try to flood the network or your computer with several packets, and then so this intrusion detection system already have some role, okay, repository in the system. Then it can give you notification that this is the alarm that the denial of service attack will happen, for example. Okay, so actually there are three major types of intrusion detection system: audit logs, host-based intrusion detection system, and network-based intrusion detection system. So audit log show attempted login and system use. So audit log, okay, it can show the login and system use. When you check the audit log in the intrusion detection system, you can see who was logged or who was used the system. Host-based, watch for unauthorized file change. Host-based, okay, so you install the IDS in host, personal computer, so you know who try to change file in the computer. Network-based, it examine the network traffics. Okay, so I think that's all for this chapter. Okay, so good luck for your exam. So till we continue to the next chapter, chapter 7.